Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today we are going to be going through all of the major weapon buffs and weapon nerfs, as well as some attachment changes. Now, this isn't for the faint-hearted. There's a lot of reading, a lot of boring numbers for anyone that isn't that interested, but if you want to know what attachments have been improved, what ones have been changed and not for the better, this is the video for you. We are pretty much going to be going through the weapons patch notes for Season 4 in Warzone. If you are enjoying Season 4 Warzone right now, make sure you do drop a like and of course subscribe to the channel. This gameplay is just me playing some Resurgence Mini, and I do go on to use the Farah class, which you guys really liked. That was yesterday's video. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. Sorry for the long intro, we're gonna get right on into it. For everybody with a short attention span, you can just screenshot this and go. Just go on, go. For those who want to know the specifics, stick around. But in short, the AMAX was pretty much nerfed slightly. The Groza was kind of really buffed. Double arrow means like really good, so I'm gonna just say really a lot now in this. The Scar from Modern Warfare, it was slightly buffed. The XM4 slightly buffed as well. I know it's a popular weapon, we actually covered it on the channel as well. The AMP63 got a serious buff, as well as the ballistic knife. I mean, I haven't seen anyone who used that, but if you do, let me know. The Street Sweeper, thank God, got a major nerf. I think it was also removed from ground loot pretty much, so hopefully you don't see that too much now in your games. The Rytec sniper rifle, which had a drop off, you know, if you shot more than 5 meters with it, the bullet hit the floor. Got a slight buff. We're gonna see if that is changed now. The Swiss K31, I know it's very popular among people that hate the Kar 98. I'm a Kar 98 user myself, but I do need to try the Swiss. It was adjusted. We got a major buff for the AUG, which is kind of a reason why you don't really get it anymore when you spawn back in the likes of Resurgence and Rebirth, I think. Don't quote me on that, I haven't played a lot of Rebirth. The Bullfrog from Black Ops was adjusted as well. KSP 45 buffed slightly. The Milano 821, now that's a gun you spawn in, I'm pretty sure, got a major buff. The Bison from Modern Warfare got a slight buff. And the DMR 14 from Cold War was slightly buffed as well. So let's get into the specifics. So the AMAX, as we know, was slightly nerfed. The upper torso damage multiplier was decreased from 1.2 to 1.1. The devs go on to say that they really love it, but they do go on to say that we will likely see it return in the future when the massive balance overhaul takes place. So whether that's another switch in game, or if they're actually planning a massive balance overhaul, it's just something to think about. Next up is the Cold War Groza. It got a major buff. The minimum damage was increased from 18 to 23, the upper torso damage multiplier from 1.1 to 1.2, the lower torso damage multiplier was increased from 1 to 1.1, and the maximum damage range was decreased by 12%. So a bit of a decrease on the damage range, but the torso damage multiplier is always good. The devs go on to say the tune-up puts it in a solid position for short to medium range mobility. Next up on assault rifles, this is Assault Rifle Golf, which is the Scar from Modern Warfare. The neck damage multiplier was increased from 1 to 1.5, which is quite significant, and the upper torso damage multiplier was increased from 1 to 1.2. So if you had a build for this weapon, it might be worth it to give it another go. I might have to try it myself. The devs go on to say that we may soon see another power increase in the near future. But the main thing they were focusing on was its time to kill. Then the last assault rifle to get a change was the XM4 from Cold War. Neck damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.5. Quite significant. I mentioned before the XM4 really outweighs the M4A1, and this is just the nail in the coffin. So make sure you do swap out that M4A1 for an XM4 from Cold War. Moving on to handguns, the AMP63 from Cold War. Maximum damage increased from 30 to 33. Second damage range increased by 14.3%. Upper torso damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.1. Extremities damage multipliers increased from 0.9 to 1. And head damage multiplier decreased from 1.4 to 1.3. So that was kind of the balance for the major buff that I got in all of this maximum damage and upper torso damage multipliers and stuff like that. Nice little change, might be a bit more viable now. The ballistic knife projectile velocity increased by 25%, neck damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.3, upper torso damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.23, bit odd, but move speed increased by 1.3%. I think it's mainly for multiplayer, guys that just want to run around with a ballistic knife and multiplayer, you know, it's a lot faster paced now, it does a bit more damage, it's going to be a lot more fun. Next up, the Street Sweeper, praise the Lord. The Street Sweeper got a major nerf. The maximum damage range decreased by 24%, second damage range decreased by 18%, third damage range decreased by 7%, and the movement speed decreased by 1%. The 1% move speed, I just don't get it. But it's a lot worse now. It's actually not on ground loot as well, so if you go in with customized, everybody hates you as well as it's not as good now, pal. Give it up. Sniper Rifle Charlie then from Cold War, which is the Rytech. The bullet velocity increased by 7.7%. The upper torso damage multiplier increased from 1.1 to 1.25. The lower torso damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.15. Bullet velocity might make up for the fact that it drops so fast over long distances. I mean, it feels like a bar of 50 cal, but it performs nothing like a bar of 50 cal. Devs go on to say they'll keep a close eye on it to ensure it occupies this role successfully. It'll probably get another buff in the future. For everyone that gets horny using the Swiss K31, it just got some optic changes and the base reticle was updated. We're past halfway now, guys, but the submachine gun section, this is the submachine gun alpha, and it is basically the AUG. Upper torso damage multiplier increased from 1 to 1.1, maximum damage range increased by 10%. So instead of being short to medium, it might be short to medium and, you know, an extra 10%. Devs go on to say, once again, we are positioning it to excel on our upcoming balance overhaul. They know it's not going to be too broken right now, but should be interesting to see this balance overhaul. It's been mentioned a couple of times. The Bullfrog from Cold War, the iron sights were adjusted. The ADS position basically was adjusted. These changes should allow for better ADS visibility without optics. Small adjust, nothing major. The KSP-45 from Cold War, maximum damage range increased by 16.6%. Extremities multipliers increased from 0.9 to 1. Devs go on to say it has a fast time to kill potential, and I think a lot of people underestimate it, so maybe it's worth giving a go. Last three weapons then, Milano 821 from Cold War, maximum damage increased from 34 to 36, minimum damage increased from 25 to 30, maximum damage range increased by 23%, upper torso multiplier increased from 1 to 1.2, lower torso multiplier increased from 1 to 1.1, and extremities damage multipliers increased from 0.9 to 1. Devs go on to say they want to sort of buff it and see how it gets on, and they might update it again if it's too overpowered for the second half of the season. Submachine Gun Echo from Modern Warfare, it's the Bison from Modern Warfare. The maximum damage was increased from 34 to 35. Extremity damage multipliers increased from 0.9 to 1, which is a pattern we're seeing with a lot of these SMG buffs. I don't think it's highly used, but it might just give that little bit extra. If it was leaving people on 1 and 2 HP, this will clear things up. Last but not least then, for weapons, the Cold War DMR 14, recoil magnitude decreased. It kind of bounced too much for those that used it in the pre-game lobby. That's the only time I've ever seen it. It bounced a lot, so maybe it's not as bad right now. Might be worth checking out. Now, to finish up, we are going to go through the attachments, starting off with barrels. It's the Combat Recon, which is an attachment for snipers. For the Pellington, we got a 42.5% increase to 47.5% increase for bullet velocity. These are all for bullet velocity. Sniper Rifle Charlie, which is the Rytech, 42.5 to 50. Swiss, 43 to 50. Tundra, 42.5 to 44. And the ZRG is from 42.5 to 43, which is not a major one. Probably one of the biggest ones is the Swiss K31. Not sure if a lot of people use the Combat Recon barrel on it. Let me know though. For the Ranger barrel for assault rifles, the bullet velocity is increased now by 50%, but so is the vertical recoil control going up 15% and the hip spread going up 20%. The takedown barrel for assault rifles, similar enough, effective damage range goes up by 35%, but the horizontal recoil control goes up also by 15%. It also increases the hip spread by 20%. Now the reinforced heavy and match grade barrels for assault rifles and light machine guns got a major kind of buff as well. Bit of a balance on the ADS side, but it now increases the bullet velocity by 25%, it now increases the effective damage range by 17.5%, the horizontal recoil control goes up by 7.5%, as well as the vertical recoil control going up by 7.5% as well. Decreases the ADS movement speed by 10%, decreases the sprint speed by 2.5%, as well as the ADS speed by 3%, and it increases the hip spread by 25%. So that's kind of the balance they found with that. It looks good. It looks like a good barrel now. Task Force Spetsnaz RPK barrel, or CMV mil spec for assault rifle or light machine guns. It now increases the bullet velocity by 50%, increases the effective damage range by 35%, now increases the horizontal recoil by 15%, as well as the vertical recoil by 15% as well. Decreases the ADS move speed by 20%, decreases the sprint speed by 5%, the ADS speed by 6%, and it also increases the hip spread by 30%. We were actually talking about these barrels yesterday. Spetsnaz RPK, probably best I didn't mention it, but I'm just a big fan of fast ADS. Last two are quick ones, thank God. For reticles, most Black Ops Cold War reticles have been updated. The axial arms 3 times, optic position shifted, which is nice. And the Royal and Cross 4 times, the optic position was also shifted. And then just for underbarrels, the Bruiser Grip for snipers, the aim and stability was increased from 10% to 19%. And that is pretty much it. I know it was a long video, I know it was very specific, I did say it at the start of the video, but if you stuck around to the end and you enjoyed this, obviously I put a lot of time into this. I tried to make it as entertaining and as fast as possible, even though I know it's over 10 minutes, but hope you all did enjoy. Make sure you drop a like if you made it to the end of the video. Let me know what class you're going to be changing up, or if you're going to be using any new guns. And yeah, without further ado, I am going to leave the video here. Peace out, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in another video very, very soon.